The Mariners snapped out of their offensive funk in a big way last night, hanging 9 runs on the Indians to take a second straight game at Progressive Field. The Tribe needs a win today in order to take the season series from Seattle and carry some momentum into a big series against Detroit. Sean Markham will try to cool down these Mariner bats next on Sports Time Ohio. Another beautiful afternoon in downtown Cleveland as the Indians will try to salvage the finale of this series today against the Seattle Mariners. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. Indians are continuing to struggle offensively, and here at home in particular. On the 5-game homestand, they've scored a total of just 12 runs, and in 7 of their last 8 games, 3 runs or less. No such problems for the Seattle Mariners, who suffered through a similar slump themselves. They broke out of it in a big way last night.
They went through a 13-game streak where there were 3 runs or less. But one big hit got them started last night. They had 1 hit in an inning. They had 4 runs because of walks. But Seager is the guy without Cruz in the lineup that you have to stay away from. You look at last night, they had 9 runs. They hit with runners in scoring position, 5 out of 10, and you can see what they did in the 13 games prior to that, just a 182 average. So keep in mind, if Cruz is not in the lineup, you don't have to pitch to Seager. You pitch around him, you make somebody else beat you, and it was just one of those nights. They relaxed, they had fun, and they had a hit parade.
Cruz out of the lineup for Seattle, and for the first time this year, Jason Kipnis out of the lineup for the Indians, although for Kipnis, it's not an injury. It's just simply his first day off this year.
Well, and he needs a day off every once in a while. He extended that hitting streak to 20 games last night in his last at-bat, a double down the line. So Kipnis needs a day off. He's been so great for the Indians, and, he hasn't had any days off, and that's the longest home hit streak by an Indian since my former teammate Miguel Delaney in 1980. So congratulations to Jason Kipnis. He's been doing it.
When we come back, Andre Knott will update us on the suddenly streaking Yan Gomes. Cleveland Indians baseball is brought to you by W.B. Mason, the official office supplier of the Cleveland Indians. By McDonald's, I'm loving it. By your local Toyota dealers. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And by the injury lawyers at Elk & Elk, proud sponsors of the Cleveland Indians. Call 1-800-ELK, Ohio. Honda dealers, by the Cleveland Clinic. Call for an appointment today. And by the game-changing all-new Ford F-150. The future is tough. Back here at Progressive Field, getting ready for the series finale today between Cleveland and Seattle. Indians have dropped 3 straight on the homestand, trying to finish it up on a winning note. They could use a little offense, and to that end, it has been nice to see Yan Gomes get hot here since coming back from the disabled list. In the series, he's 4 for 8 with a couple of home runs. But even more than that, Gomes with a 6-game hitting streak in which he has collected 10 hits. Let's go down to Andre Knott, who has more on why Gomes is suddenly red hot.
Well, he's suddenly red hot because he's getting comfortable at the plate. And another thing that plays into it, he's been able to play some consecutive games and see a lot of different pitching. He says he's just finally feeling like the guy that came out of spring training, and he appreciates it. From Terry Francona's side, he says, look, on game 59, it was time to sit down Jason Kipnis. And because of that, he figured this was the perfect day to put Gomes at the DH position, let him sit out, take care of his knee before we head to Motown, but also to keep his bat in the lineup. And especially against a left-handed pitcher, he felt like this was the perfect time to give Jason Kipnis the day off, but also to keep the hot bat of Yan Gomes in there for the Tribe.
It's always a delicate balancing act, isn't it?
Well, it is, but it makes a lot of sense. Gomes is swinging a very good bat. He's getting as comfortable as you say. It takes a while. When you miss 6 weeks, you just don't step in and get back into the swing of things. And, you know, players, they realize it. They're ready to go. Emotionally, mentally, they want to get in there. But once they get in there and they start seeing the pitching that they haven't seen in 6 weeks, it's not that easy.
I've been impressed by how quickly he's gotten up to speed. I thought it would take a little longer than it really has.
Well, it's, you know, he's a hard worker. He goes in there and he battles. So, you know, it's fun to watch him. It's nice to see him rolling.
And, of course, Jason Kipnis getting the day off. It's not that you ever want to take him out of the lineup. The way he's been swinging it, 20 straight games he has hit here at home.
He needs an emotional, mental day.
By an Indians player here at Progressive Field, but I guess a similar situation that you want to keep him fresh. You want to keep him at the top level that he has been playing at, and so you have to pick a spot somewhere.
You have to use all your players. You know, so Kipnis needs a day off. Tito senses it. He knows it. He's been trying to get him a day off for about a week or 10 days. And now's the day. Give him the day off, and let's go, boys. It's like spring training, a B game. Noon game, let's go. Get after it and have some fun.
Sean Markham is getting ready in the Indians' dugout to come out and take the field. While he gets ready, let's take a look at our keys to the game, brought to you by Wayside Furniture. For the Indians, win the first inning, which is something at home they have not done very often. They've been outscored by the opposition 19-9 in the opening frame. In fact, overall at home, they've been outscored by 28 runs, which is why they're 11-18 here at Progressive Field.
And try to play from in front one time. They've been behind every ball game in this homestand. And, you know, they were on the road. They won 4 straight road series, which is very good. They had momentum coming home. They come home now, and they've lost these 2 series, you know, one to Baltimore, and now they lost the series. But you got to salvage a win here, so try and play from in front.
And you know what, Rick? The offense is the easy culprit here, but they have to pitch better at home.
Yeah.
I mean, the numbers tell you that they haven't pitched as well at home as they have on the road, and therein lies the difference, the disparity in the records home and away.
Combination of everything here. You got to play much better as a team.
Sean Markham getting loose on the hill. Let's take a look at the starting lineup he will face for Lloyd McClendon's Seattle Mariners today. Brought to you by Toyota. Logan Morrison, red hot, a 16-game hitting streak leading it off. Then it's Austin Jackson, followed by Robinson Cano. Nelson Cruz once again out of the lineup today, so Kyle Seager hits cleanup. Seth Smith 5th, Mark Trumbull will DH and bat 6th. Dustin Ackley, Mike Zunino, and Brad Miller rounded out.
And today's Northern Ohio Honda starting pitcher will be Sean Markham, making his 5th start of the year. Markham has a record of 2-1. In his last start, he lost to Baltimore. It was his first loss of the year. He went 6 1/3 innings, 8 hits, and 3 runs. He's given up a home run in every start he has made this year. But he did beat Seattle last time he pitched against them out in Seattle on 5 1/3 innings, 5 hits, a couple of runs. He did walk 3. He struck out 5, but he got the win. So they need a win today. Let's see if Sean Markham can keep him in the ball game, and we'll set that defense behind him. Today, it looks like this, which is brought to you by Chrysler. Ray Burns in left. Brantley moves back to center. Moss in right.
Urshela at third, Aviles at short, Walters at second, Santana at first, Perez catching.
C.B. Buckner has the plate this afternoon. Gabe Morales is at first. Dale Scott, the crew chief, will be at second base, and Dan Isanya is down at third. Roberto Perez gets the start behind the dish, as you heard Andre Knott tell us. Yan Gomes keep his bat in the lineup, but give his legs a break. Logan Morrison takes a strike.
First pitch is at 12:10, 72 degrees, 12:10, 7-2.
Seattle is trying to complete their fourth sweep of the season. It would be their third on the road if they complete it.
Well,
they're a lot like Cleveland.
I was going to say, it sounds like the Indians, doesn't it?
Troubles at home, but they've played better on the road. Popped them up sky high, back toward the Mariners dugout and into the seats. A light breeze blowing in today is going to push anything popped straight up at the plate back into the crowd.
Yeah, it's been blowing out the last couple of days, so it's turned around coming in.
Hard to figure it out. You figure the warmer weather, it's going to continue to blow out.
You would
get
think
here today,
so.
and boom, it's coming right in again. Sean Markham with a 1-2 pitch.
Yes, he did.
He went around, and that'll be strikeout number one. You were going to say about Markham?
No, I was going to say left-handers against Markham, 347. Right-handers just 149. So, but he has a nice changeup, and he gets Morrison to go after that pitch. So strikeout number one for Sean.
And now the right-handed hitting Austin Jackson, one of three right-handed bats in the lineup today for Seattle. Jackson's starting to find his offensive groove.
Yeah,
2 hits in the series, and of late he's been swinging it more like the guy we saw in Detroit.
Well, for the first 2 games of this series, the whole lineup seems to be swinging it much better as a team for Seattle. Lloyd McClendon said that coming into the series. Hey, look, we've been swinging much better. We've been grinding out at bats, going deep into counts, hitting some balls on the nose. Well, they're starting to fall for him a little bit. And last night, the table was set by a lot of the walks. They got one big hit, and everything just snowballed from that point on for him to the good. They relaxed.
Jackson had an ankle sprain that landed him on the DL earlier this season. And he came off the DL right before the Indians went to Seattle. And since he's come off the disabled list, he's batted .340. Just what they have needed. 0-2 pitch just missed in off the plate.
The funny thing about that, it was Jackson was leading off when we were out there, and now he's in the number 2 hole. They moved Morrison into that leadoff spot, and he seems to be doing much better as well.
Yeah, Morrison's got a 16-game hitting streak. Jackson's starting to pick it up, and that's good because they've got some proven hitters in the middle of their lineup, even with Nelson Cruz still down with back spasms. You got Robinson Cano in there and Kyle Seager. From 0-2 to 3-2 now for Austin Jackson. Seager talking with Seth Smith. Payoff pitch to center field. Back goes Brantley. That breeze is going to knock it down well shy of the warning track, 2 away. And let's take a look at the conditions at game time. Brought to you by Window Systems. 72 degrees. A lot of cloud cover, but really a beautiful day. Robinson Cano, 2 for 9 in the series. Both hits, doubles, both came in the series opener against Corey Kluber, in which he took the ball to the opposite field, left center. He went to the front of the plate, feigning a bunt, tick low, ball 1. There's the strike to even the count. Cano in his last 17 games is batting just .177. Just missed, and it's 2-1.
Well, he had a couple of doubles in game 1 of the series. He didn't get a hit 0 for 4 last night, but he walked and scored a run.
Strike called. I think because offense, just in general, is down all across baseball, guys like Kipnis, Brantley, over in Detroit, Cabrera, those guys really stick out now because so many averages are in the low to mid 2s, and not many guys are hitting 300 or above.
No, you see those guys that are rolling and really consistent. It's fun to watch those guys hit. I don't care, they talk about how hard people are throwing now and things like that. If you can hit and you're doing it, you do stand out.
Bounced in front of the plate, full count.
Adam Jones is off to a nice year for Baltimore that was here on this homestand. And, the guys that you go see, they're fun to watch.
Brantley is consistent as ever, even though he's been battling back issues the whole season. Payoff pitch. Out of play to the left. Won't do it again. The problem with a guy like Cano is that his track record is such that you look up and see 238, and it's eye-popping because this guy's a 300 hitter year in, year out.
It is. It's amazing, and you expect more when you see him. But in New York, look at that.
Oh, punched him out to end the inning. Cano looks back to his own dugout as if to say, somebody help me. No can do. Indians get him 1-2-3 as Markham strikes out a pair. No score. Bottom of the first inning. The Indians starting lineup for Terry Francona brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Mike Aviles gets the start at the leadoff position today. Then it's Carlos Santana, Michael Brantley third. Ryan Rayburn in the cleanup position. Yan Gomes riding a 6-game streak will hit fifth. Then it's Brandon Moss, followed by Giovanni Urshela, Zach Walters, and Roberto Perez.
Today's Northern Ohio Honda starting pitcher will be Jay Happ. who is making his 12th start of the year, 32-year-old left-hander. He has had 5 straight no decisions. His last decision was May 9th against Oakland, and he won it. He had a no decision against Cleveland.
And the left-hander's first pitch in there for a strike. Mike Aviles has gone 3 for 7 in the series. And he takes 1 ball, 1 strike. Aviles taking over the daily shortstop duties with Jose Ramirez being sent down. Mike has batted .289 over his last 26 games.
Is that Happ staring in, thinking that pitch was a strike? He was looking in there, wasn't he, for quite a while?
This whole umpiring crew has had a lot of that.
Yeah.
From Dale Scott to Dan Isanya now to Buckner already. 3-1 pitch. Ball 4. And the Indians' leadoff man is aboard to start the game.
Let's check out the Mariners' defense, brought to you by Chrysler. It'll be Ackley in left, Jackson in center, Smith in right, Seager at third, Miller at short, Cano at second, Morrison at first, Zunino doing the catching.
Carlos Santana. Swung on and missed. Boy, was he out in front of that.
Change up. Got ahead with the fastball, comes back with the cambio.
Quickly 0-2 the count, with Aviles taking a pretty good lead at first. Santana shoots it by Sandy Alomar, who skips out of the way down at first. Count stays 0-2. All that work Sandy does on the bike. Keeps the feet quick, able to move out of the way.
Yeah, you wait for it. You don't want to get hit when you're down there. You keep your eyes open. You have to.
Santana with a fly ball to left. And Dustin Ackley will make the catch, 1 away. All right, here's our Levin Furniture player profile. Given name is James Anthony. Pronounces name Jay.
You sure about that?
That was for you.
I knew it. I heard you. I knew you were looking at me. You can call me Jay or you can call me J.A.
Came from Toronto for Michael Saunders. Trying to remember, I have to look. The deal that sent him to Toronto, I think that was a pretty big trade too. Fouling out of play. Yeah, I'm sorry. It was the trade before that when he was with Philadelphia, because he was one of those guys that everybody was asking about, young left-hander prospect.
Right, to Houston?
Yeah, for Roy Oswalt. That was the big deal early in his career. Now the 0-2. No, a throw to first instead. In 2012, he was acquired by Toronto with David Carpenter and Brandon Lyon in exchange for Asher Wojciechowski, Carlos Perez, a catcher, David Rollins, a left-hander, Joseph Musgrove, a right-hander, Francisco Cordero, and Ben Francisco. In the dirt. Picked nicely there by Zunino. Everybody was salivating over Happ when he went 12-4 with a 2.93 ERA for the Phillies back in 2009.
Well, they thought they had the next Cole Hamels, you know, who was out there dealing at the time.
Michael Brantley patiently waiting for a pitch. Back to even now at 2-2.
Well, he was ahead of Aviles and ended up walking him. He had Michael Brantley down. Now the count's back to even. But Brantley does that with every pitcher.
And a base hit in the right field for Brantley. Michael's collected a hit now in 9 straight games.
Well, and this fastball down in the zone, the 2-2 pitch, and Michael just smokes it into right field. Hit too hard for Aviles to get to third. But you see, when that ball's down in the zone, Brantley turns on it, gets a base hit. Had a line drive double right center last night on a ball down in the zone. And
Second time he's had a 9-game streak.
Well, throughout the course of the year, you're going to probably see 4 or 5 of those things. Throughout the course of the year, that's how consistent he is. He did that last year, too.
Well, here's Ryan Rayburn with a chance to get the Indians on the board first. He takes low and away ball 1. Rayburn so far in the series 0 for 2 with a couple of walks. An aggressive hitter who seeks the fastball, but Rayburn is so locked in right now offensively that he'll take his walks as well.
Well, you don't mind taking your walks now. You've got Gomes behind you who's swinging a pretty hot bat.
That'll even the count 1-1.
You know, the Indians, they lead the league in walks. They have 222 as a team. That's all part of their offense. What they have to do is hit with runners on base and get in scoring position. That's where the issues have been.
Rayburn cuts and misses at a good off-speed pitch. And it's 1-2.
Yeah, they lead the league with the runners left on base, 448 coming into this ball game. You know, they're just a couple of knocks from getting to where they want to be.
So to give that some perspective, that's almost 8 left on base per game. Two on, 1 out, and a 2-2 count for Rayburn. Back out of play. Jan Gomes waits on deck. We're in the first. Sean Markham struck out 2, retired the side in order. Leadoff walk to Aviles, a 1-out single by Brantley, and now the 2-2 to Rayburn. Popped out of plate on the right side.
Had to dig that one out. Came down and in with a pitch.
Rayburn is 11th in the American League in batting average against left-handed pitching, hitting .324. Another pop-up, and again it's out of play. Talking about getting hits in the clutch for Cleveland, Rick, Rayburn has been one of their better hitters in these situations with men on base, 292 average, with runners in scoring position, 296.
Yeah, that's what you need. You need a couple of hitters to pick up the pace with runners in scoring position.
A little bit low on a full count. Well, granted, the grand slam is what got the Mariners going last night, and maybe that enabled them to relax because they ended up 5 for 10 with runners in scoring position on the night.
Well, with the one swing, it gave them more runs than they've had in any game in the last 13.
Yeah.
So it was time for them they could relax and take a deep breath.
Big pitch here for Happ. Payoff. Rayburn bounces it toward third. Seager to second for one. No, Cano. They will give him the out at second base.
Yeah, he was transferring the baseball.
Cano couldn't get the handle as he tried to turn a double play that would have potentially ended the inning. Instead, the Indians will have runners at first and third and 2 down for Yan Gomes.
Well, it very easily could have been a double play, although Seager had to wait for the second hop. Cano in the transfer. Look at the ball's in. He goes to get it in the other hand. He just can't hold it. I did not look to see where Rayburn was at, but you would think it might have been a double play if he gets rid of it. He cannot. They get the second out. So a break for the Indians.
Now can they take advantage as Yan Gomes steps in?
We saw this in Kansas City when they didn't turn a double play. The Indians took advantage of it.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason it's an old adage in baseball. The double plays you do not turn are generally costly.
Yeah, they come back to haunt you.
Gomes homered twice in the series opener, and the Indians' only runs in that ball game. Missed inside with that fastball, and it's 2-1. You know, Gomes is a guy who will use the whole field when hitting, so the Mariners don't employ any exotic shifts necessarily. Miller is pulled around, the shortstop on the left side, playing him as a pull hitter, which he will do on balls that he pulls. But he's a guy who will inside out the ball.
Yeah, he shoots it the other way, and when he's swinging like he is now, he does use the whole field. He loves the ball down in the zone. He's an excellent low ball hitter. Last night he got a hit on a fastball that was up and in the mid-90s, and he muscled it over the shortstop's head. Fastball away. Watch this. Line drive to right. Oh, he came in with it. But you see the approach. Mm-hmm. He went inside out. That ball's away. I think he hits it hard. Even though they called for it and they wanted it away, they came in. I'm sorry, they wanted it in. They pitched him in, and he fought it off.
Good battle here as Happ has made 28 pitches in the inning.
Yeah, they've made him work.
And the 2-2. He strikes him out with a good off-speed pitch. No runs, a hit, 2 men stranded, no score after 1. No score, second inning. And our T-Mobile game changer, Kyle Seager. In his career at Progressive Field over 15 games, not too shabby.
Yeah, he likes it here. He likes it here.
Last year, Seager at 25 homers drove in 96. And when you talk about finding a level of consistency, if you take what he's done so far this year and go back 162 games, he's hit 26 homers with 93 runs batted in.
Okay. Well, and that's not a friendly hitter's park, although it's a little bit better than what it used to be. But with Cruz out of the lineup here, this is the guy you want to face with the bases empty, and hopefully you have an opportunity to pitch around him if anybody is on base, especially with Cruz out. Now, with Cruz in there and he's in front, or Cruz is behind him, then it's a different story. He's going to get more pitches to hit. But Seager can protect him. Good left-handed hitter, and Markham is going to be careful here.
Nelson Cruz missing his second straight game after he left Tuesday night with back spasms. He had started every game prior to that injury for Seattle. And Lloyd McClendon said before the ballgame he's feeling better, but he's not quite there, as that pitch is in for a strike. And McClendon said it was strictly my decision. It just made sense to give him another day off. He said, look, if this was dire straits, he could have started the game. So essentially, this is late September and it's a playoff spot at stake. He's in the lineup. But this goes back to what we talked about with Jason Kipnis, with Michael Brantley. You have to pick your spots as a manager so that your guys are able to go out there over the course of the long season.
Yeah.
You run them into the ground now, and then you lose them for 2 weeks. That's what Lloyd's trying to do. The Mariners, they don't want to lose Cruz for 15 days, so they're hoping that by giving them a couple of days, maybe that back.
There's still 100 and couple of games, 102 or 3 games left. Yeah. Seattle end up making their trek to Houston from here. They work their way back home to the West Coast, and then they go to San Francisco when that's over. But their travel is horrendous. Although talking with Rick Riz, he says it's a lot better this year because a lot of their trips are 3-city trips, where it gives them opportunity to
kind of get acclimated.
Yeah, exactly. Their shortest flight is 2 hours, and that's down to Oakland. So they're always on that bird, boy, flying. So, and they travel on a lot of off days, like coming in here to Cleveland. They traveled on the Monday, their off day.
And you're leaving at noon probably.
Yeah.
So much for the off day.
Right. They call it an off day. It's actually a travel day.
It is a travel day. 2 balls and a strike for Seth Smith. Seth Smith, 3 for 7 with a couple of doubles in the series. Hammered foul. Seth Smith was originally a Colorado Rocky, a second-round pick in 2004. That's where he began his career. But then after several years with the Rockies, he was traded to Oakland for Josh Altman.
Murph's guy.
Spent 2 years with the A's, last year with San Diego, now with Seattle. Not that it's necessarily a unique or a surprise, but he's always been traded for pitchers. San Diego got him for Luke Gregerson. Seattle got him for Brandon Maurer. So, and I think he's one of those guys that fringe power, 15 to 18 home runs a year, 50, 60 RBIs.
He did a nice job with San Diego coming off the bench as a pinch hitter. I don't know if he's an everyday grinder, player. He can DH. He's not the strong defender.
Strike 3 called. Third strikeout for Sean Markham, and there are 2 down here in the second inning.
Take a look at this pitch on the Nissan pitch tracker. It locks him up. It's right there. Boy, that's a good pitch. He just couldn't pull the trigger. Must have been looking for something else. Goes down looking. Second called strikeout out of his 3.
Mark Trumbo. Do you suppose, Rick, that happens more with a guy like Markham who doesn't have a blazing fastball? You'll get caught looking at a fastball right down the middle because you're not expecting that pitch.
You're guessing. Yeah, you're guessing for something else. And then all of a sudden he may sneak that 88-mile-an-hour piece of cheese by you. So, yeah, I think you could be sitting up there looking for a different pitch and just don't react. It surprises you.
Mark Trumbo, 1 hit in the series, but it was a laser. He hit a line drive down the right field line that hit above where the normal home run yellow line is, but he hit it down the line where the wall juts up. Therefore, he didn't get a home run. He got a 325-foot single.
You know, the funny thing is that should be all the way across. It was up there because of the bullpens were over there, if you remember.
Right.
You know, that little raise of about, 10, 12 feet maybe? Going to the foul line.
And another called third strike. Sean Markham has retired the first 6 Mariners in order, punching out 4.
Get live Indians baseball all season long with MLB.com at bat on your smartphone or tablet. You can stay connected with live radio broadcasts, stats, breaking news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball.
Brandon Moss will lead off here in the bottom of the second inning. 3 for 9 in the series. Looks at a fastball up high for ball 1. And Moss takes, it's in there, 3-1 to count. Moss thinking maybe it was ball 4, called a strike, and a full count. Off to the left and out of play. Another foul.
About the same spot.
Yeah. Again, the 3-2. Hits that hard. Center field. Jackson giving chase. He won't get it. One hops the fence, and Moss will cruise into second base with a leadoff double here in the second inning.
Smoked that pitch. He didn't foul that one off. Found the gap in right center field. That's double number 15 for Brandon. He gets a fastball down in the zone. Turns on it, so the second straight inning they have their leadoff man aboard.
There's our AT&T U-verse rewind. Giovanni Urshela in his Major League debut, robbed of a hit on a spectacular play by Robinson Cano. Then last night, it's the other middle infielder, Brad Miller, who takes one away from him. So Giovanni right now is saying, hey, somebody.
All right, it's time for a base knock.
He's like, is this a prank? Is this what you do to the rookies? Is this called hazing?
No, it's called the big leagues, and they can catch it up here.
Miller bird-dogging Moss at second, the 1-0. Urshela batted .275 at AAA Columbus. 3 homers, 9 runs batted in 21 games. And he's in the hole now, 1 ball and 2 strikes. He did pick up an RBI last night, first of his big league career. And a foul off to the right. Couple of fastballs, and he's just fighting them off.
Well, he's very tardy, but you know what? You stay alive. Indians have had 9 foul balls on 2 strikes so far. You're only in the second inning. It's just starting.
Checked on a ball in the dirt. 2-2.
This is the pitch he got Gomes to swing and miss after going in with a fastball, but he checked his swing. They appeal. They say no go.
The 2-2. Fastball in, knocked him off the plate. And so a full count. So Urshela fouling a few off, taking a couple.
A lot of hitters going deep this first time through the lineup.
Well, he's already at 44
I
pitches.
know he is, and it doesn't have an out here in the second. 6 hitters with 5 or more pitches.
Oh, Urshela rung up by the floating strike zone of C.B. Buckner. Second strikeout for Happ. 1 down in the second.
Well, let's take a peek at it and see what happened. Sitting right there. He has to go outside. That's close enough. You know, right now you don't know where the strike zone is. Seattle has had a couple of complaints, and We'll see if that establishes to stay in one zone throughout the course of the day.
Zach Walters, 1 for 4 last night. Fouled right back by Walters.
Chubby Walters.
Moss, leadoff double, still standing at second base. The 0-2 to Walters, and a foul back. Walters in 30 games with the Clippers this year hit .259 with a couple of homers, 15 runs batted in. You have to wonder, especially based on our conversations with Jason Kipnis this spring, if the oblique injury that Walters suffered in spring training has somehow altered his swing mechanics, because we saw the power last year. He had 6 home runs in the blink of an eye, and for him to only have 2 home runs at AAA in 30 games just seems unusual.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's the same spot as what Kipnis had, or if it's close to being related.
Now, anytime they say oblique, regardless of whether or not it's the same spot, it's got to affect your.
Well, it has to. I would certainly believe so. I agree. I've never had one, so I don't know what it feels like, when you're trying to do something.
Yeah, let's knock on wood that we don't experience it in our old age.
Well, it wouldn't matter. We don't have anything to swing at.
Golf, come on. 1-2 pitch, punch to right field, get down. Fair ball coming around third. Moss will score, and the Indians will play from in front as Zach Walters delivers an RBI single. Perfectly placed down the right field line just inside the chalk, and Walters has his 3rd RBI on the year.
Well, let's make this our McDonald's. I'm loving it. You got a guy in scoring position, a high fastball. He fights it off, flares it down the line. You got to love that. Get a base hit with a runner in scoring position. Now, let's go. They have the 1-0 lead for Walters, his 3rd RBI, and Moss scores.
And Roberto Perez getting the start today behind the plate, batting 9th. And looks at a fastball on the outside edge for strike 1. So Perez getting the start at catcher. Yan Gomes in the lineup DHing. Terry Francona able to keep Gomes' hot bat in the lineup while saving his legs a little bit. Not the same circumstances for Seattle. Mike Zunino is behind the dish barely 12 hours after he left here last night. He's right back behind the plate. And there's a reason. There's a method to the madness, if you will, as Perez takes. Lloyd McClendon said, look, Jay Happ he's been that guy. He's caught a different catcher every time he's out there, so we thought it was fair to him to give him a start with Zunino, who's the everyday catcher, behind the plate. And McClendon added, as the old salty veterans will, plus Mike had Monday off. He had an off day Monday. He's fine.
Well, that's
young
right.
Guy. He can get out there and catch again.
That's true. That's why they're everyday players, man. You can play tired. You don't have to. You can't. 162 games. That's how you play. You don't have to feel good every day.
Well, if Yan Gomes was was 100% healthy, and I mean, in terms of just not dealing with coming back from the injury, he'd probably be behind the plate today as well.
You know, it's those days when those streaks that we just finished where you have 20 straight days without an off day. That's when you're going to need a rest every now and then when you mix in a few day games after night games. But for the most part, he's right. These are young kids. Let's go. Get after it. The player will let you know when they need an off day. You can tell.
2-2 pitch. And a full count. And I think, don't you think, Rick, that's where managers and bench coaches are really astute in studying subtle body language?
Well, they have to, because nowadays, as a player, you can go to the trainer and then let the trainer go to the manager and get you out of a game. You could never do that. You've got to go walk in the manager's office when you were an everyday player and say, Skip, I need a day off. You got to look him in the eye and say, well, you tired or what do you need? You got to look the manager in the eye and explain to him why you need the day off.
But I think a lot of players
don't have to do that now.
A lot of players won't do that, but it's up to the manager to look and see the little telltale signs.
They have to.
He needs.
Sure, I can tell. I mean, you get.
Perez puts a jolt into one. Deep left field. Ackley back, and it's going to die well shy of the track. And that is out number 2. Well, maybe Perez got into one there, at least deep enough to get it over Ackley's head, but to no avail. Walters back to first, and we'll go to the top of the order, and Mike Aviles. Aviles drew a walk his first time up to start the game. Wound up stranded at third in the first inning. This will be the 60th pitch for Jay Happ.
Well, that's a lot of work for 2 innings. When you look at it, 38-22 on the ball strikes count. So I don't care if you're an everyday you're the everyday catcher or not. Right now, Happ's struggling.
The 1-1 pitch.
He's had 4 full counts already. And this is the 10th hitter he has faced. They fouled off a lot of pitches with 2 strikes, a dozen.
You know, it seems like he's got a decent enough fastball, but boy, and maybe it's one of those days, but he's not really attacking with it. Three-one pitch.
It's called fastball command. He's not able to put it where he wants to. We saw that with Bauer yesterday.
So second walk issued by Happ, and out comes Rick Waits, the Seattle pitching coach. Here's our great clip of the game from yesterday. Jason Kipnis extending his home hitting streak to 20 games, the longest by an Indians player here at Progressive Field.
Just a patented double that he is throughout the month of May. Was unbelievable. It's his 19th double. Which leads the league, right? I know he and Brantley were tied going into yesterday.
I didn't look today.
I think he is. If not, he leads the league. Brantley is tied at second with Cespedes, Dozier, Morales with 18. And then Smith, the right fielder for Seattle, is there at 16.
Jason's only one off the league lead in triples, too. He's got 4 of those. Right now, it's Carlos Santana's turn. He flied to left in the first inning. 2 on, 2 out here in the second. And Jay Happ is laboring.
Yes, he is. This is a good way. If you could get a 2-out hit here, you could really That's where I think this hit could really let the Indians relax a little bit and go out and have some fun.
Santana
helped him out
swings at
there.
a fastball out of the zone, 1-1. Hit hard to third. Seager scoops it up, goes to second, inning over. Tribe gets on the board first today. Zach Walters with an RBI single, 1-0 Cleveland.
Well, next Friday, the Rays are coming to town. It'll be Dollar Dog Night all game long. Fireworks to follow that ball game. Next Friday night, the fireworks are presented by Wayside Furniture. Go to Indians.com.
Dustin Ackley will lead it off here for Seattle in the third inning. So far, Sean Markham has retired all 6. One ball, one strike. Hard hit ground ball to second base, and Walters backhands it, throws him out, 1 away. Our injury report today is brought to you by the injury lawyers at Elk and Elk. Gregor Blanco with a concussion goes on the 7-day DL for San Francisco, and Andrew Miller, left forearm problem, goes on the DL.
That's not
for
good
New York.
news for the Yankees.
And I also heard he's not on the DL, but I heard that Lance Lynn was going for an MRI with forearm
Another
tightness.
Cardinal?
Yeah.
My goodness. Can they lose anybody else?
Well, he's not on the DL, but it's never good when you hear he's going for an MRI.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, right. Well, I guess you always assume the worst when you hear that.
Yeah.
And I would think you would, too. If you're the pitcher, you're going, you think, boy, I hope there's nothing wrong in there. Nowadays, you just never know.
Well, everybody outside of St. Louis is hoping that the Cardinals cool off because the rest of that division is very tightly packed together outside of Milwaukee. Swinging a foul tip. I mean, Cincinnati's won 4 straight, so they're within 4 of 500. Pirates are 6.5 back, along with Chicago. The Cubs, who we'll go to see on this next road trip at Wrigley Field. We'll see the Pirates over the 4th of July weekend in Pittsburgh, and the Reds right out of the All-Star break in Cincinnati.
And then on to Milwaukee for a pair.
Ryan Rayburn, that ball hung in the air forever. 2 down. Roberto Perez out for a quick chat with Markham as Brad Miller will come to the plate. 9th hitter in the Seattle lineup. Miller's quietly put together a hitting streak of 6 games. Roughly 1 hit per game, 7 out of 22.
Get me over a hook, strike 1. Sean Markham on the year, the first time through the lineup, dishes out about a 190 average, but it certainly goes up from there. The second time teams have made an adjustment, they go up to 343.
C.B. Buckner said Miller went too far, and quickly he's in the hole 0-2.
Boy, Markham doing a nice job as far as pitches go. He's at 43, and he's been throwing a lot of strikes.
You talk about a disparity. Brad Miller's hitting .316 at Safeco and .135 on the road. He has 30 hits at home and 10 on the road.
That's hard to figure out sometimes.
And 3 of his 10 hits have come in this series. Markham with a 2-2. And so he's gone from 0-2 to 3-2. And the right-hander steps off the rubber. I don't know if it was just a case where he was trying to get on the same page with Perez. Now he's ready in the payoff pitch. Popped him up. Center field, Brantley. Makes the catch. First time through the order, 9 up, 9 down. 1-0 Cleveland, middle of the 3rd. A reminder as you enjoy a cold one on this Thursday afternoon, Stay tuned later in the game for Miller Time, brought to you by Miller Lite. For the Tribe, here in the home half of the third, Brantley, Rayburn, and Gomes due up. Stat of the game brought to you by Buick. We mentioned this earlier. Double your pleasure. Jason Kipnis leading the way. His teammate one behind him. Kind of like the hit streak.
Yeah, exactly.
Brantley had a 19-game home hitting streak a year ago. Kipnis passed him last night, extending his to 20.
Yeah, well, Michael's got a 9-game going now for the second time this year, so he could be on a roll too once he gets rolling. Picked on a low fastball his first at-bat and drilled it to right field.
Well, and I think that, you, and I'm sure you experienced this in your career, you have good, friendly, in-team competition between Brantley and Kipnis. They're good friends. They pull for each other, but they're competing against each other too.
Sure, competition's what makes the world go round. It's fun, and they said he did go.
Wow.
Well, you look at the side, and everything's, there's times where you look and you say, nothing is called.
No.
It doesn't look like it, but it's called today. So maybe everything will be called today.
Brantley with another base hit into right field. He's 2 for 2.
Hung him a breaking ball. Tried to get that curveball down and away. Didn't get it away. It sort of stayed middle of the plate, and Brantley hurts him again in that hole between first and second. See, that breaking ball there, that's inside. That's not a good pitch, not to Michael. So the Indians get their 4th hit. Michael has 2 of them.
He has 27 hits this year against left-handed pitchers. 27 for 84. So his average is actually better against lefties than it is against righties. Rayburn shoots one through the right side of the infield, and Brantley will stop at second base. So back-to-back singles to open the bottom of the third for Cleveland.
Rayburn was trying to shoot him that way in his last at-bat. Fouled a couple of tough pitches off before he finally made it out, but he didn't miss this time. He found it. He got a pitch to his liking away. He hits the hole. It's just that it's hit too hard. Brantley can't go to third base, so the first 2 guys aboard. The Indians have had their leadoff man aboard every inning, the first 3 innings. And Happ, again, is going to start. They got to get that bullpen up.
That's exactly what I was pointing. I mean, I don't think Rayburn had left the batter's box and they were on the phone.
Well, he has really labored through the first 2 innings, and now he has the first 2 guys on here in the third. And
Tom Wilhelmsen is the guy getting up.
You wouldn't think it's going to be any easier for him.
Well, here's Yan Gomes hoping to inflict some damage here. Takes down an in-ball 1. A 1-0 pitch. Fouled right back.
Ooh, that was right in at Carey's face. That one, I think that one got him. Right there.
Right off the squash?
Right, yes, it is. Right now he's going to have a lump for the next
1
5
lump
days.
or 2?
He'll take it. He can ice it down by the time we come home. He turns around and looks up.
There's a liner, but fouled on the left side. Gomes hit it hard. And now he's down on the count, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, he got Gomes with the breaking ball down and in last time, and Gomes rocketed that last pitch that was down and in, so Zunino has to go out and talk to him. As I mentioned, Happ has had 5 straight no decisions. But his ERA on the road is much different than it is at home. He has a 5.33 in 5 games started compared to a 1.88 when he pitches at home in Seattle. And back goes Zunino again. right, so they may have things sorted out. We'll see.
Brantley at second. Rayburn at first. The 1-2. Down in the dirt.
He hasn't really established that fastball today, Matt, where they've been able to foul some off. Waits is looking on.
I mean, it's a 1-0 game.
It
has the feel that it's 8-0.
They're just one swing away from a knockout punch, and he gets Gomes the second straight time with that same pitch.
Third strikeout for Happ, 1 away.
Check this breaking ball coming down and in. Back foot slider. Gets Gomes to swing over the top. He gets the first out here in the third.
And now Brandon Moss. Broke his bat. Base hit. Right center field. Coming around third. Brantley will be waved home. He will score. On his way to third goes Rayburn. 2-0 Cleveland. Brandon Moss is 2 for 2. So the Indians' left-handed hitters are having their way with Jay Happ here this afternoon.
And that's going to do it. Out comes McClendon. He's seen enough.
Brantley and Moss, the only two left-handed bats in the game for the Tribe, are 4 for 4 combined.
Well, that bat split in half. But it couldn't have happened at a better time because you drive in a run, you push the runner to third base, and Happ's afternoon is over. And it is a short one.
Not many guys get knocked out in the third inning down 2 runs.
Well, his shortest start this year was against Baltimore for just 2 innings.
He's almost at 80 pitches, though, here with 1 out in the third inning. He will throw no more. We've got a timeout for a pitching change. The Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen has been made. Tom Wilhelmsen is coming on when we come back. Well, Jay Happ, he'll have a tough time finding anybody to talk to today.
Yeah, it wasn't a very good start for him this afternoon. Second shortest start of the year. I mentioned that 2-inning stint against Baltimore, 2 1/3 today. 6 hits. At this point, just 2 runs, but they have 2 more out there on the pillows, ready to come home.
He faced 15 batters today, Rick. 10 of them saw 5 or more pitches.
Yeah. Well, when he got the 2 strikes, they were following him off. You know, he had a tough time. He was able to get Gomes twice on the same pitch.
Giovanni Urshela struck out his first time up. Tom Wilhelmsen is on to try and keep this game from getting away from Seattle. It's only 2-0, and Lloyd McClendon must feel like if Wilhelmsen can get out of the inning without allowing a big inning, then they've still got a chance to piece it together with their bullpen. And that pitch is inside, driving him back 1-1. You got to wonder about the mindset of the fielders, though. They've been standing around a long time in the first 2+ innings of this one.
They certainly have. Well, this benefits the Indians. Take advantage. Knock them out early.
Urshela down on the count of ball and 2 strikes. And a ground ball single into left field. His first major league hit drives home a run, and the Indians' lead is now 3-0.
Well, congratulations. He finally gets it. He drives in a run with it. The baseball will be put out of play, goes to Brad Mills. They'll see to it that it gets to the clubhouse.
What a nice piece of hitting, though, down on the count. With 2 strikes, and he's able to get a pitch that he could pull through the left side of the infield for his first big league knock. And now Zach Walters, who got the Indians on the board first with an RBI single in the 2nd inning, turns around now batting left-handed.
Well, you take a look at it. He had 2 strikes on him, and he ends up, that ball creeped back over the inside part of the plate to his liking as he drives it into left field. So not where Wilhelmsen wanted that pitch, but Urshela got the base hit and drives in a run.
Well, what have I heard for years from big league hitters? You don't make a living on pitcher's pitches. You've got to hit mistakes. And
absolutely.
That's a great job of taking advantage of one.
2 strikes, yeah. He made a mistake coming inside, and you gives him a chance to pull the ball.
Off the end of the bat. 1-2 the count for Walters. Now the 1-2. Fouled it right back. No, he swung and missed. And the runners are both going to move up.
That got Zunino in the hand on him. Maybe he crossed him up there.
It'll be ruled a pass ball initially. Let's take another look, though, and see what might have happened.
Oh, yeah, he's going down for a breaking ball, and that is a
right
fastball, and it got him cleanly.
Yeah, it's like the ball just jumped up on him.
He was looking for something else. That is a cross-up. He gets the strikeout. Both runners move up on the pass ball, but he's crossed up, not his fault.
Right now, Mike Zunino might be saying, hey, you wanted me to catch today because the guy that was starting, since he's out of the game, can I come out too now?
Yeah.
That ball nailed him flush. I mean, again, that's we talk about a foul tip to the mask. That's like just sitting back there and saying, I'm going to throw this ball and just hit you in the arm with it.
Yeah, watch. It's going to. Did that get him in the arm or the hand or the glove? The hand. It got him on the glove on one of the fingers is where it got him. I thought it was his shoulder, too, until I saw it there on that angle.
Roberto Perez, fly to left, his only time up. Checked on. Oh, he said he went around. C.B.
Wow.
Buckner makes the call, and that wasn't even close, I don't think.
No, now you're going to get barking from the other side because, at least check. It didn't look like it from our vantage point. I didn't think so anyway. Well, Buckner said he did.
And the 0-2. Low and away. Wilhelmsen, with runners at second and third and 2 down, delivers, and Perez punches one into left center field. That'll plate 2 more. The Indians with a big inning. Score 4 times in the third. They lead it 5-0 as Roberto Perez picks up RBIs number 12 and 13 on the year.
How about the bottom part of that lineup doing the damage?
Our Yellowwood bringing the lumber. He didn't hit it hard, but he hit it perfectly.
Well, Urshela did the same thing with a 2 strikes, got a base hit to left field, but with runners in scoring, with that 2-out base hit, boy, it paid. Look at this.
Oh, Mike Aviles tees off deep left field. Back goes Ackley and makes the catch in the middle of the warning track to end the inning. But the Indians get 4 on the board here in the third. Giovanni Urshela's first big league hit. 5-0 Cleveland. Tonight on Fox Sports Ohio, it's Cavaliers Live before and after the game. It's Game 4 of the NBA Finals, and our home team starting 5 will bring you all the pre- and post-game coverage from the Q and the Gateway Plaza starting at 8 on the home of the Cavs, Fox Sports Ohio. Logan Morrison, leading off the fourth for Seattle, struck out his first time up.
Well, it was a 4-run third inning for Seattle last night that propelled them to victory, and now the Indians come back and they have their own 4-run third inning. We're a 5-0 lead, so Markham can go out there, although he went right through the order for the first 3 innings. 9 up, 9 down.
Now the 1-1. Just a bit outside, 2 balls and a strike. Well, you mentioned it, Rick. What the Indians have just been starving for is the key clutch hits, the ones with runners in scoring position, and those are the ones that opened it up in that third inning, because it was only 2-0 when McClendon went to Wilhelmsen, hoping that he could maybe Get him
Keep
out of
it
the
there.
inning and keep it right there.
Right.
But instead, Urshela drives one in, Perez drives in 2 more. You get the big inning, damage done.
Yeah, now they can relax and have some fun.
Yeah, he
Ouch.
hit him.
Certainly not what Markham wanted to do.
First base runner of the game for Seattle as Morrison reaches on the hit by pitch.
2-2 count. He wanted to go inside with something and just ends up holding on to it and gets him in the back of the leg. So the first base runner of the afternoon for Seattle.
And up comes Austin Jackson. Flied to center his first time up. Ball 1, it's inside. Don't believe Morrison will be going anywhere, down 5-0.
You wouldn't think so.
Hit hard, deep left, but foul. And the scramble is on. Later tonight, downtown Cleveland will be jumping as the Cavaliers get ready to take on Golden State and a chance to take a commanding 3-1 series lead. One-two pitch. Down low. You know, baseball, obviously, with no clock, you have to get 27 outs to secure the win if you have the lead. So it's truly, as long as you've got an out to give, you've always got a chance, regardless of the score. As long as you have one out, you still have a theoretical chance. In basketball, it is amazing to me. Driving home the other night, the Cavaliers are up 20 points.
Yeah.
And this game's on ice. Pop the champagne, it's over. I got home, it was a 5-point game.
Got
in
down
the
to 1.
blink of an eye, it can change so quickly in the NBA.
Yeah, it seems like the last 3 or 4 minutes it comes down to. It's always going to be a ball game, no matter how many points you're up in the first 3 quarters.
I thought maybe they were going to go to overtime for a third straight game.
Well, there was always that chance, I guess.
2-2 in the dirt, gets away from Perez, and down to second scampers Morrison. So hit bad on a wild pitch, and Seattle has a runner in scoring position.
Well, it's another pitch that he hung on to maybe a little too long and spiked that one into the dirt that Perez couldn't handle.
And the 3-2. Jackson fouls it back. Just a beautiful day here at the ball yard. Light breeze still blowing in from center field. And Jackson sends one in Michael Brantley's direction. And that will be caught for out number 1. First time through the order, Rick, he had Mariners hitters looking.
Well, he maybe got a good call there, but he locked up Smith, and then a nice little breaking ball there. You got Trumbo. And there's McClendon. He sat down after he saw that and said, "That's enough."
There was quite a bit of barking in C.B. Buckner's direction first time through the order. 9 up, 9 down. Then he hit Morrison, Markham did, to start this 4th inning. Gets Jackson to fly out. Now Robinson Cano. To center field, Brantley racing back and makes the catch just in front of the warning track.
I'll tell you what, that ball is dying out there today. There's not a lot of carry to whatever is hit. I thought he hit that ball over the head of Brantley.
It sounded off the bat like he barreled it pretty good.
And he caught up to it easily. So as an outfielder, come on in, play shallow.
Well, you saw Brantley's break. He turned and he was running. He had to jam on the brakes and stop because he almost ran too far back.
Yeah, it makes a difference.
Watch this route again.
I mean, that ball was crushed. Now look, he stops. And then the ball seems to just float down like it's coming out of a parachute.
Now Kyle Seager, a ground out his first time up. Down low for ball 1. Seager swings and misses. Good pitch, called a strike. And it's 1-2 now on Seager. Markham ahead of the Mariners slugger. And he popped him up. Might be playable here. Urshela into foul territory near the stands. Can't get to it as he ran into the side wall.
Wind blew it into the seats.
Sure did. I think on a normal day without that kind of wind, it probably stays in play.
I agree. Looked like he had it all the way, but by the time he gets over there, that's a few rows deep.
Seager gets new life. Markham's 1-2 pitch. And it gets away from Perez. And down to third goes Morrison. Probably be another wild pitch.
Looked like maybe Perez came up on it a little too early. Hard to tell. Take a look at it. Change up. He tried to smother it, and that ball just seemed to scoot underneath the glove. So a wild pitch.
So 2 down and a runner at third. And a 2-ball, 2-strike count for Seager. Outside, full count. There's the payoff pitch. Right at Mike Aviles, who scoops it up, throws him out. And the Mariners do not score here in the fourth. Runner stranded at third. It remains 5-0 Cleveland. All right, so we've talked about the fact that now that we have instant replay, you don't see many rhubarbs, many dust-ups, not many arguments. But last night, Torrey Hunter gave us our money's worth. He got thrown out, then he threw the batting helmet. He threw the batting gloves. And he wasn't done yet. He gave the umpires a piece of his mind, then he gave him their jersey, too. Chucked that on the field before he finally went to the clubhouse.
Think he was a little upset?
He is one of the most jovial, affable guys in the game of baseball, but every man has his breaking point, and I think that's probably some team frustration too, Rick. Twins have been cruising, they've been playing great baseball, but they've lost 3 in a row.
You know how managers do that sometimes?
Get
to
your
get their
guys
team fired up. Well, Torrey's sort of like the leader of that team coming back, so I think that might have had something to do with it. So the manager didn't have to do that. That was pretty good.
My. What was that?
It's like the fake bunt. Let's try and hit it that way.
That's not even a butcher boy, though.
No, that's a waste of a swing. I mean, seriously, you either bunt it or swing the bat. There's no. He's doing both.
And now he grounds it right into the shift, and he's retired, 1 away. That was the shortstop Miller who throws him out with that shift on. 1 away. Michael Brantley 2 for 2. Both singles have gone through the right side of the infield. Second one was a big breaking ball that he waited back on nicely.
Yeah, both pitches were down in the zone that he was able to find the hole over there.
9-game hitting streak for Brantley. He's hit in 31 of his last 36 games. Wow, nice pitching by Wilhelmsen. He strikes out Brantley, 2 down here in the fourth.
Well, celebrate the 20th anniversary of the 95 World Series team. That'll take place next Saturday. And 12,500 fans will receive a GV Art and Design T-shirt. That'll be courtesy of Pepsi. Go to Indians.com.
Rayburn pulls it foul over toward Mike Sarbaugh. Up and in, pushes Rayburn off the dish. 1 ball, 1 strike. First game on the homestand that the Indians have been able to score first. And not only score first, but then add on to the lead immediately. They got 1 on the second and then right back with 4 in the third.
I always wondered, and I think most teams are like this, that, boy, when you get the lead early, it seems so much easier. I don't care if you're on the road, you're at home, it just makes it a little bit easier. And then they come right back and add it on, as you mentioned, with a big inning.
Over the bag at third and fair. Seager makes a good throw across. The Indians are retired in order for the first time today. 4 complete, 5-0 Cleveland. All is brought to you by Kia. Visit mykiacleveland.com to learn more. By Levin Mattress, located in all Levin furniture and freestanding locations. And by AT UVerse, has more channels on the go than cable. Seattle on top 5-0 as we go to the 5th inning. And Seth Smith going to lead it off for Seattle. Called out on strikes his first time up. And Sean Markham delivers a strike to the outside corner. Only one has reached for the Mariners so far today, and that was Logan Morrison, who was hit by a pitch to start the 4th. He advanced to second and then to third, both on wild pitches. Other than that, Sean Markham has been slicing and dicing. Big 3-man shift on the right side for Smith. Oh, that was a pretty good looking pitch. 2-2. Only one other day game in Atlanta. Padres Braves 1-1 there in the second. Chopper foul.
Oh, right out of the glove. Had his chance. brought the glove. It goes in. Oh, but kid gives it to another young man that runs away from it.
Fly ball, center field. Brantley cruising over. He'll give way to Rayburn, who makes the catch. One down. Let's go down to Andre, who has more on Tribe starter Sean Markham.
This has been an interesting start for Sean Markham. After talking to him over the last couple of days, he's talked about, getting here finally after getting through everything he had to get through and being in Columbus for a little while. He said he just never was comfortable or felt the way that he wanted to feel on the mound. And he said finally, 2 days ago in his bullpen, he finally felt like he figured everything out and he was finally getting comfortable. And guys, so far through this game, it looks like it's showing up when he wanted to show up most, when the games start counting.
You can't say enough about the way he's pitching so far here today. This is a lineup that absolutely rope-a-doped their way to a 9-3 win last night.
Well, once again, when you talk about, we were talking about Gomes, when you miss time as a player. Well, Markham's missed over a year. When he comes back, he's had the surgery. He hasn't pitched a whole lot. Same thing can be said for a pitcher when you miss that kind of time. How long is it going to take you to get back into the swing of things where you feel comfortable with yourself? And he's been around, and Sean knows how to pitch. He's been a successful pitcher over there in Milwaukee and in Toronto, so he knows how to win.
In the hole, a seeing-eye single by Mark Trumbo. It's the first hit of the afternoon for Seattle with one out here in the fifth inning. Well, you're exactly right, and the thing that I like most about Markham, Rick, is that it would be very easy at this stage in his career, everything he's done, everything he's gone through, for this to sort of be just about, for him, just about me, just about getting out there. But he really relishes the fact that he's part of an outstanding starting rotation, guys who have some great stuff, and he relishes, his chance to do his part.
Believe me, he's going to have his opportunity, and it's funny how you get that opportunity because, he accepted, I'll go down to Columbus and I'll pitch coming out of spring training because T.J. House thought he was going to have the starting spot. Well, guess what? House is gone. He pitched his way out of the rotation, and here's Markham. He's going to find his way, and he wants to stay in it. So you're going to see the veteran that wants to work maybe a little bit harder.
Bouncing ball. Walters has it. Looks to second. Takes the out at first. 2 down. Nice play by Zach Walters. And then we'll bring up Mike Zunino. Good range here by Walters to scoop that. Make sure it didn't get into right field.
Another thing that's nice right now is you happen to give Kipnis a day off, and you got a guy that drove in a run, makes a nice little diving catch. So, you're not missing Kipnis to say, boy, we can't play this guy. He needs a rest. Give him a rest, and the replacement's doing just fine.
Swing and a miss by Mike Zunino. Well, I'm sure Kipnis he's out there rooting on Walters and hoping he makes every play.
When you get an off day like this, you love to see your team do well, so you can just relax and you can keep your brain on off. Look, he's getting a little sun on the noggin today.
Don't we all wish we had a switch? You could just say, okay, brain off. That's
it certainly helps. You don't have one of those? I do.
I'm not surprised.
I don't plug it in.
Swing on and miss. It's 1-2.
I'll teach you this road trip how to do it.
Mm-hmm. 1-2 pitch to right field.
Got a guy there.
Moss makes the grab, inning over. Mariners get their first hit, but we go to the bottom of the fifth, 5-0 Cleveland.
Well, the Tribe opens up a 3-game series against Tampa Bay. That'll take place Friday. The date is June 19th right here, and you can save on tickets by lower reserved or lower box by June 15th, and you will save 21%.
The new pitcher for Seattle is left-hander Vidal Nuno. He came along with Mark Trumbo in that trade with the Diamondbacks. What was it? Just only 8 days ago now.
Right.
Yeah.
Not long ago. We were on the road.
Yan Gomes, first ball swinging, pops one to left. And Ackley has it one away. Brandon Moss is 2 for 2, a single, a double, an RBI, and 2 runs scored.
Oh, that's been a swing all day. It'll continue to be that way. About the bottom part of that lineup today, Matty. 5 for 8, 5 ribbies. You got Urshela, Walters, and Perez in there too, along with Moss, who's 2 for 2 and has scored a pair, driven in 1.
Well, 1-2 pitch. Moss waves at it. Here's the in-game recap brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Zach Walters, RBI single in the second. That made it 1-0 Cleveland. Then it was Giovanni Urshela with an RBI single. His first big league knock made it 3-0. And Roberto Perez drove in 2 with 2 outs to make it 5-0. And let me just say, as I looked over my lineup before the game today, I went Urshela, Walters, Perez, the bottom 3. Urshela just made his major league debut. Walters has 2 hits and 21 at bats. Perez, 185 average so far in the year. I'm thinking, ooh, that's going to be tough to find some offense down there. But as Joaquin Andujar once said, can sum up baseball in one word: you never know. Oh, Urshela with a drive to deep left. Ackley back, looking up, gone to Souvenir City. Giovanni Urshela, his first big league blast, makes it 6-0 Cleveland.
Well, what happens after you get that first big league hit? I don't know. He just relaxed and put a nice swing on a baseball. Now he gets his first homer, second RBI of the game. And high fives going around for everybody. Look at the smile on his face. And it looks like they tracked the ball down. Santana's going to go get it.
As you said before, there'll never be another day like this. This is, you get that first hit, that's and then your first home run all in the same day. That's a day you'll never forget.
No, I mean, just getting your first hit is one thing, and then you just cap it off. Good for him. Congratulations.
Fouled back. Yeah, your first game, your first hit, your first home run.
That's nice. He got a fastball right there, and he gave it a ride. Not many balls have been carrying today. That one had a little carry to it. Hit it well. Makes it a 6-0 ball game. Look at he still. He can't sit down now.
Well, as we showed you the other night in his major league debut, he was robbed twice on spectacular defensive plays. So how do you combat that? Hit them where they ain't. And the Indians lead it 6-0.
Well, grab some friends, catch a game at the new Corner Bar. Open all fans at Progressive Field. The $13 district ticket. It's presented by Sports Time Ohio. They're going quickly, so go to Indians.com district ticket and check it out. Coming into today's game, left-handers were hitting .347 off Markham. Today, they are 0 for 10. Well, maybe he truly did find something in the last couple of days. He's given up one hit through 5 innings.
Ground ball. Backhanded by Santana. Pops
Got
out of his
time.
glove. He recovers and flips in time to get him.
Yeah, you got time.
Great hustle by Markham to get over there to the bag, and a nice job by Santana to not panic and just make a good flip.
Well, that's what I looked at. After the ball was booted by Santana, I was looking to see where Markham was, but he had plenty of time, so it was just up to Santana to regain his composure and give him a good flip, and he did, so they get the out.
And one away now, top of the order, Logan Morrison. Morrison was the first Mariner to reach base in this game when he was hit by a pitch leading off the 4th inning. Got the second and then the third, both on wild pitches, but was stranded there. Sends a high drive, deep right field.
See what this wind
Moss
does.
back on the track, now coming to the front edge of the warning track. And makes the catch, 2 down. That wind might have been 10 miles an hour when we started. I bet it's picked up. It seems a little breezier now.
Yes, it does.
Blowing straight in. And as we've noted a couple of times, it has definitely knocked a few balls down, especially the ones hit to straightaway center. Austin Jackson has flied out twice to center field.
He's had some pretty good swings today, though.
Hit to third. Urshela scoops it up. Perfect throw across. 1, 2, 3 go the Mariners. 6-0 Cleveland. 6-0. The Indians lead it as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. And for Cleveland, Roberto Perez will lead it off, followed by Mike Aviles and then Carlos Santana. And a base hit for Perez. He's 2 for 3. And the Indians have their leadoff man aboard as we turn it over to the top of the order.
Well, there you go. Another base hit for the bottom part of the lineup. Moss has a pair, Urshela has a pair, Perez has a pair, and Walters has one. So they've been dealing 7 out of the 10 hits.
Ground ball right at the second baseman, Cano. He'll flip it to Miller. Back to first. A double play. An American tradition comes to Fox and Fox Sports 1 for the first time as the greatest golfers in the world converge on the Pacific Northwest. Exclusive coverage of the 115th U.S. Open Championship live from Chambers Bay Golf Course in Washington begins June 18th on Fox Sports 1, Fox, and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. 2 down now for Carlos Santana, who takes a strike. Swung on and missed, and the inning is over. We'll head to the 7th. It's Cleveland 6, Seattle nothing. Team USA continues their quest for a 3rd World Cup title tomorrow as they take on Sweden at 7 Eastern on your local Fox affiliate. And remember, you can watch the entire tournament streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Robinson Cano going to lead off for Seattle here in the 7th inning. Then it's Kyle Seager, followed by Seth Smith. Indians bullpen is busy as Markham begins at 90 pitches on the afternoon, and it's a first pitch strike to Cano, who is 0 for 2. He has struck out, and he has flied out. Markham working on a one-hit shutout to this point. And Cano's out in front. It's 0-2.
He's been very good today. He's been sharp. That changeup, he's thrown that curveball. You know, I told you the second time through the lineup, most of the time, you know, they catch up to him. They hit 343. They were 1 for 8. Make it 1 for 9 the second time through. No, he hit the first guy. So 1 for 8 the second time through.
Just fouled off the end of the bat by Cano.
You know, he stayed away from the middle of the plate. He's been on the edges. He's changed speeds. He's had them out in front. He struck out 4. 3 of them have been called, and that came in the first 2 innings.
Now the 0-2. It's in the dirt, blocked by Perez. Now the 2-2 from Markham. Smacked into right center field. Brantley trying to cut it off. He will. And Cano has a leadoff double.
Cano goes down and hits this ball nicely into right center field. Wanted to go down and away with it, but it stayed right there. Only the second hit given up. It is the second time they've had their leadoff man aboard. He hit a guy back in the 4th.
Kyle Seager is 0 for 2. He has grounded out twice. Hit deep but fouled on the right side. And a count quickly 0-1. Popped him up foul.
That win.
Urshela into foul ground. And did he make the catch? He did not.
See, that's the thing. You have to get over there first, and he doesn't know this ballpark well enough yet to get to the padding, especially today with it's blowing into the seats. I don't know if he would have caught that ball. If he gets there, it would have been a lot closer than drifting. See, he tried to take a peek, couldn't do it. He would have had to get over there first.
Yeah, that was definitely in the seats. I agree with you. Had he gotten over there,
he might have had a chance.
He might have been able to position himself to make a play.
Right. But you got to do it in a hurry.
Fly ball, right field, Moss. Look how far he had to come in to make that catch. One away.
Sean Markham today has just kept them off balance. They've been popping it up. They haven't had a lot of really good swings. A lot of easy fly balls. And today's a great day to pitch with that wind blowing in. I'll tell you, anything that's going to be hit hard is going to get knocked down anyway.
Well, in the old saying in baseball, round ball, round bat, the object is to hit it square. He's been able to keep them from doing that for the most part.
Well, that's the key to pitching. Off balance. 4 strikeouts, 6 groundouts, 9 flyouts. Keep the ball in the yard. It's always a good combo.
Yeah, I mean, all 4 of his strikeouts came in the first 6 batters.
Right.
Since then, it's just been a matter of let him put it in play, but nothing in the fat part of the plate.
He's at the 100-pitch mark right now, and he's in the 7th inning. You know, for Sean Markham, you know, if he's has to work and work hard, he's a 5, possibly 6-inning pitcher. But he's out there today stretching it out. He's, like Andre said, you know, in the last couple of days he found something. And it's clicked, and hopefully that's the case, and it stays with him.
Most pitches he's made in a start this season, so I'm sure Terry Francona and Mickey Callaway are pondering how long they stay with him here. Not that he's not pitching effective, but he just hasn't been out there this long, made this many pitches yet in a game. 92 last time out. So he's 10 pitches more than his season high at this point. But he has not been in any stressful situations. And that's always something that they look at.
Couldn't hold on to it.
The 1-2 pitch down on the dirt. Now the 2-2 offering. Check the swing. He went around. C.B. Buckner's called it that way all day long.
Yes, they have. That's number 5.
First since the 2nd inning. 2 down here in the 7th.
Make this our Circle K strikeout where he gets Smith to go after, chase it. You're right, he hasn't had one since the 6th batter, which was Mark Trumbo, but he gets one here in the 7th inning for out number 2. Gets him to swing and chase after his pitch.
Mark Trumbo a single his last time up. Off the end of the bat. It's going to drop in right field. No! Moss gets there to make the basket catch on the move and end the inning. 7 shutout innings for Sean Markham. And we've reached the 7th inning stretch. Brought to you by Spitzer Auto World. 6-0 Cleveland. Bottom of the 7th inning. Brantley, Rayburn, Gomes duo. Brantley, 2 singles and a run scored on the afternoon. Vidal Nuno deals, and Brantley fouls it back out of play. Padres Braves still 1-1. They're in the 5th inning down in Atlanta. Atlanta started the day a game under 500, but only 2 out in the very hotly contested NL East. Ground ball right at the second baseman, Cano. 1 down. Let's go to Al Pulaski, who has a Mazda game break on that Padres-Braves affair.
Hey, Matt, Rick. Yeah, the only other game today, the Padres and Braves. 1-0 San Diego in the top of the first. In the bottom half, it's Freddie Freeman with a double for Atlanta to knock in a run. Cameron Maybin will score, and that's been it thus far. 1-1. They're in the 5th in Atlanta, Matt.
Thanks, Al. San Diego, like Atlanta, a game under 500, and only 5.5 behind the Dodgers in the NL West. And all of a sudden, that division is very tightly bunched together. Even Colorado and Arizona below 500, but only 7 and 7.5 out, respectively. I think everybody expected the Dodgers to just run away and hide, but
you know they're 3. They've won 3 in a row. San Francisco made their move to get back into play after getting off to a really slow start.
Dodgers have been really the best home record in baseball at 25-10.
Yeah, and they have their work to do on the road then.
Popped him up. And Cano has it 2 down. Stay tuned for Indians Live, presented by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care. It's coming up next here on Sports Time Ohio. Al and Jensen will have the highlights as the Indians lead this 6-0, trying to salvage the finale of this series before heading to Detroit. 3-game weekend series against the Tigers, then on to Chicago for 2 games against the Cubs at Wrigley Field. Indians' first visit to Wrigley since 2009.
I was going to say, it's been a while since we've been there.
Yeah, it's
recently refurbished Wrigley Field.
I haven't read the latest, but last time we were in Chicago, they were telling us that the renovation should be completed by the time
the right
we
field
go.
Bleachers. Yeah.
We will see.
We will see.
It was fun the last time we went. The results weren't a lot of fun.
Right. Instead of driving south, we're going north.
Back out of play.
Stay at the same place, the Westin. You have the heavenly beds.
Gomes strikes out, inning over. We'll head to the 8th. It's Cleveland 6, Seattle nothing. Presented by authority of the Cleveland Indians and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians. Six 0 Cleveland as we go to the 8th inning. And the Indians go to the bullpen for the first time today. It will be Zach McAllister coming on in relief of Sean Markham, who went 7 2-hit shutout innings.
We need a left fielder now, though.
Well, I thought Rayburn was going to stay in the game in left field, but we haven't seen him come out of the dugout yet.
I was going to say maybe he thought Brantley was going to move over to left, but there's nobody out there. Bourne's in center, and they're looking to see who's in left. Are they both in the clubhouse? Someone's got to go out there and play. I think they both went in. You know, when normally what they do, look at Borney. Hey, I need no Borney. You go ahead. You cover them both. Yeah, I wonder. Brantley might have thought he was out of the game completely. That's what they usually do.
I almost think that was probably what was going to happen, and maybe something miscommunication.
Well, there's some
Rayburn.
laughs going in the dugout.
They're
right
still
now.
looking down the tunnel as if to say, "Where'd Rayburn go?"
You know what? You might be right.
Maybe he thought he was coming out of the game. Well, we got 9. That's all that matters.
Look at. Let's see. He's back out there now. A little too late. If that was the case, we don't know. But look at Murphy. Is that Murphy down at the end talking to him? Oh, that's Kipnis. It'd be interesting to find out. You know what? It might be. Hey, Michael, we'll give Michael a couple innings off.
Dustin Ackley 0 for 2 on the afternoon, is grounded out twice. Takes a pitch low and away.
Anyway, what a great day for Sean Markham, huh? 7 innings, just the 2 hits.
Dynamite. Just
0
dynamite.
runs. He had 5 punch-outs, didn't walk anybody. A great afternoon for Sean.
Ackley swings and drives one to right field. Moss back. Makes the catch. 1 away.
He had it rolling early. He had 4 strikeouts in the first 2 innings, and then let him put the ball in place. Some easy ground outs, some fly balls, just 2 hits. They had to go with 1 out in the 5th before they got their first knock. What a great afternoon.
Mike Zunino takes a strike. He's 0 for 2 on the afternoon. He has flied out twice. Good breaking ball. That's over. And a count quickly 0 and 2. Upstairs with it. Now the 1-2 to Zunino. Strike 3 called. 2 down here in the 8th inning. Mariners third base coach Rich Donnelly, native of Steubenville, Ohio, grew up a Pirates fan. Imagine what a thrill it was for him to become part of the Pirates coaching staff under Jim Leyland. Back in 1992, they were running into the NLCS against Atlanta. At that time, his 18-year-old daughter, Amy, was at a game watching her dad coach. He would crouch down, cup his hands, and yell to the runner at second base. And she asked him after the game, "Dad, what are you yelling to that runner at second base? The chicken runs at midnight?" He said, where did you come up with that? She goes, "I don't know. It just popped into my head." That became sort of the unofficial slogan for that ball club that year as they ran to the NLCS. And continue that when we come back. 1-2-3 Mariners go in a hurry as the Indians cruising 6-0.
What happened in the dugout. Brantley coming in saying, hey, what's going on here? What kind of outfit you guys running?
He must be going to Mill saying, you told me I'm done for the day. That's why I went up the runway. So that's funny. They're having fun with it now. And you know what? When something like that happens, you should have fun with it. 6-0 certainly helps. Look at him. He's all over Millsy now because Millsy's the one that goes to tell him. And I'll tell you, there's nobody more prepared than Brad Mills when he does his job. So it is funny. They're going to get on him.
New pitcher for Seattle's Fernando Rodney. Right-hander appearing for the second time in the series since being removed from the closer's role. They're trying to get him straightened around because of that .703 bloated earned run average. So he'll pitch here in the 8th, and for the Indians it'll be Moss, Urshela, and Walters due up. So let me just finish up that story with with Rich Donnelly. So he's the third base coach for the Pirates. They're going to the NLCS. His daughter asked him, Dad, what are you yelling at those runners? The chicken runs at midnight? And he says, what? Where did you come up with that? And she said, I don't know. It just popped into my head. So it sort of became this unofficial slogan for the family, for the Pirates players the rest of that year. Unfortunately, they lost in Game 7 in the bottom of the 9th of the NLCS to the Braves, who went on to the World Series. And tragically, Rich's daughter, Amy, died a few months after that. She had a brain tumor that had been diagnosed in spring training. And so fast forward to 1997. Rich is the third base coach once again for Jim Leyland under the Marlins, World Series, Indians. As tough as that was for us to swallow, for Rich Donnelly, he's coaching third base. Craig Counsell's the runner at third in the 11th inning. His sons were the Bat Boys. They had nicknamed him the Chicken Man because you remember Counsell had that sort of that arm flap in his back and his left arm.
Right.
So he's the Chicken Man. He's at third base. Edgar Renteria gets the game-winning hit. Counsell comes home, runs home with the winning run. Bedlam on the field. Rich is looking for his two sons who are the Bat Boys. They come up screaming, Dad, Dad, look at the clock. He turns around. The clock was midnight.
Wow.
So the chicken had run at midnight, and Rich has told that story, and Craig Counsell has told that story. Counsell now a manager in Milwaukee, and I understand there are plans in the works. This could be a motion picture in the near future. Yeah, just an incredible story. But it's imagine going through that as a family, how difficult that was. But in the end, Rich said to me, I know Amy was with me that night in Miami.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I did not know that. I've never heard that story.
Leadoff walk for Brandon Moss and Giovanni Urshela coming up. What a day he's had. His first major league hit drove in a run, and he scored in the third. And then his first big league home run with 2 outs in the 5th inning. One pitch down low, 2 balls and a strike. Fernando Rodney trying to work through some mechanical problems. Urshela with a ground ball to Cano. He goes to second for 1. Miller's relay in time. Does the stretch hold the bag? Yes. Morrison able to keep his foot affixed to first. And there are 2 down. As promised earlier, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. And here is a look back at Giovanni Urshela's big day.
2-strike base hit there. And then another 0-2 base hit, home run. First major league home run. Following his first major league hit. A good afternoon for the young kid.
Zach Walters, 1 out of 3 RBI single back in the 2nd inning. And a foul tip. It's 1-2. There's a good changeup, and Walters was frozen. Inning over. We go to the ninth. 6-0 Cleveland.
Is brought to you by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care. Join Al Jensen. They will wrap up today's ball game. Hopefully the Indians can hold on and keep it a 6-0 game. A lot to talk about tonight. Let's take a look back at our keys to the game. Brought to you by Wayside Furniture. Win the first inning. Well, the Indians did. They had that first run in the second. They were able to add on in the third. They had 4. So they really took them out of the game early, and the execution with opportunity. As soon as they got the base hits with runners in scoring position, what happens? They relax and they break it open. So, that's something that, boy, hopefully they can get a lot more of in the future.
Cody Allen hasn't pitched in 5 days, so he's going to get some action. We'll face the top of the order. Morrison, Jackson, Cano due up for Seattle. It's been a good day for the Indians, though, on all the fronts. I mean, the great start by Sean Markham, very encouraging. The offense breaking out of its slumber and attacking early and often. And defensively, they've made every play. Zach Walters getting a start at second base as Jason Kipnis gets his first day off of the season. Walters has been fine defensively over there at second, made a few plays.
All these people now will have a chance to go home after this ball game, take a little nap, and get ready for the big one tonight.
Cavs and the Warriors, Game 4 of the NBA Finals. High pop, shallow left. Brantley is there.
That's Brantley or Rayburn, one of the two, but one of them are out there.
It would have been funnier had it been Murphy and Rayburn that had this little mix-up, because they're both referred to as Bobby.
Right.
Within the club there.
That's true.
It would have been funnier.
The left-handed, right-handed platoon system of Bobby.
Don't think Michael's going to ever let Tito and Millsy forget this either. He's going to keep that like in his piggy bank account.
Oh yeah, you can bet on it.
Tribe heads to Detroit. 3-game series with the Tigers comes your way tomorrow night. In fact, we'll have all 3 games for you here on Sports Time Ohio, but 3 different start times: 7 Friday, 4 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday.
That's what it's been here for the last few weeks, hasn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
7-4-1 on Friday, Saturday, Sundays.
The 0-2.
Got him.
Swing and a miss. He strikes him out. 2 down. And it will bring up Robinson Cano. Cano doubled his last time up. In fact, all 3 hits in the series for Robinson Cano have been doubles. Cody Allen stares in. Hit on the ground to third. Urshela, room service hop. Throws him out and the game is over. The Indians take the series finale from the Mariners behind a terrific pitching performance here this afternoon. Sean Markham's 7 2-hit shutout innings. The bullpen pitches in with 2 perfect frames, and the Indians cruise to a 6-0 win here this afternoon. Tribe goes to 28-31. Mariners leave town 27-33. Sean Markham the win. He's 3-1. The loser, Jay Happ, he's 3-2. Indians home record now 12-18 on the road. And now it's off to Detroit and then Chicago to play the Cubs, where they'll put their road-tested 16-13 mark to the challenge.
Well, it's a good way to end this road trip. Even though they lost both series at home, they wrap it up with a 6-0 victory. It's going to be a big weekend. You're getting back into the division, a place where they have a tough time winning, going to Detroit. So hopefully they get back out on the road. It's a short trip, 5-gamer, and they get back here and just start playing some consistent baseball and getting some key hits. That's what we're looking for.
6-0 is the final. We've got some final thoughts